Press conference of Foreign Minister Hayashi will now begin. Over to you, Minister Hayashi. I have 2 points to make at the outset. The first item, from 4th through 7th of July, Director General Grossi and of IAEA will make a visit to Japan as a guest of MOFA, and I plan to attend the meeting as well as the working lunch on 4th, hosted by myself. During his stay, he also planned to have a meeting with the Japanese government officials, as well as plan to make a visit to Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant of TEPCO. I do understand the importance initiative taken by the IAEA, which fulfills a very important role in promoting the non-proliferations as well as the peaceful use of the nuclear power during his visit. I hope that this will be instrumental in further strengthening the relationship between Japan and IAEA.
My second statement, this time as a new initiative, MOFA has decided to introduce its unique mid-career recruitment examination. So we will take applications for those who wish to work for MOFA for the positions of deputy directors and section chiefs. They will be hired as general career track officials. The international environment surrounding Japan is changing at an unprecedented speed, and diplomatic issues Japan faces are increasing in number and becoming complex. So we had consultations within the ministry with the relevant officials, including State Minister Yamada. As a result, we came to think that it is indispensable for Japan's diplomacy to hire people with rich work experience and diverse background for them to demonstrate their expertise to be active at our ministry. That is why we have decided to launch this examination for recruitment. Applications will be accepted between Monday, 7th of August through Friday, 29th of September. And the details will be posted on MOFA's website. You will find the guide and instructions there. So we would like to welcome applications from those who would like to utilize their experience, be active at the forefront of diplomacy for Japan and world's peace and prosperity. Thank you.
Please raise your hand if you have any questions, and upon called upon, please move forward to the microphone. Katsura-san from Kyoto. Katsura from Kyoto. At the outset, you talked about Director General Grossi visiting Japan. As has already been covered by the press, on the 4th of July, he planned to meet with Professor Kishida, and also he planned to deliver the comprehensive report that also includes the releasing of the upstreated water to the oceans. Is it correct? And is this a visit based upon the request of IAEA? On top of that, Japanese government have obtained the IAEA's comprehensive report and have given an impact, and that is at least covered by our case news. And Japanese government do have the responsibility to respond responsibly. Any view on that?
DG Grossi, during his visit to Japan, is to have a working lunch and consultation with me on the 4th of July. And as to his other schedules, they're being coordinated as we speak. So I would like to refrain from providing the details on that at this moment. And the comprehensive report that you talked about, early June, Mr. Grossi said that he will compile the comprehensive report within a few weeks' time. That's what he said back in June. At any rate, it is compiled under the responsibility of IAEA, so please ask IAEA. And Mr. Grossi is invited as a guest of MOFA this time. And the documents that are purported to be issued by the IAEA, according to reports, as Japanese government, we're not in a position to comment, but IAEA is very much aware of the existence of such false documents. They neither belong to IAEA and they neither reflect the position of IAEA. That's what they have said. So, as I repeat, IAEA's comprehensive report is to be formulated under the responsibility of IAEA, so Japanese government is not in a position to manipulate that. And any attempt to try to undermine the independence and neutrality of IAEA with false information, we would like to strongly oppose to that. Next, please, Takahashi-san, Asahi Shimbun. Takahashi, Asahi Shimbun. Fukushima Daiichi of TEPCO about the release of ops-treated water into the seas. Well, Mr. Hayashi, Minister, included, you said that there were consultations, and were there any instructions from the Prime Minister on this? Regarding
the ops-treated water, as well as the move for the parties related, inclusive of the Prime Minister, in order to share the information. Yes, we gathered and had a meeting from the Prime Minister. We have to make all our effort by the government so that to secure the safety as well as not to have damaging reputations and to provide the meticulous information, both Japan as well as the overseas. Next question, please. NHK, Iwasawa-san. Iwasawa, NHK. IAEA DG Grossi's visit to Japan. I have a follow-up questions, inclusive of Mr. Hayashi. That in the meeting with the government officials, the treated water of the Fukushima, it shall be diluted so that it will be below the regulated value. What discussion took place?
Yes. During his visit with DG Mr. Grossi, inclusive of the issue of ops-treated waters released into the sea, we are to engage in exchange of views on a number of issues. And the inspection by IAEA and issuance of comprehensive report from the IAEA in view of these planned events, we would like to engage in good discussions. Takahashi-san from Asahi Shimbun. Next, please. Takahashi, Asahi Shimbun. So in relation to what was mentioned earlier, well, Prime Minister said that he instructed his relevant officials to give careful explanation to overseas, but regarding the release of ops-treated water, China is vehemently opposing to it and is raising a protest. So given that, do you think that it's not a good idea to release?
From the Prime Minister, as I mentioned earlier, we should continue to make effort by all the government so that we can secure the safety as well as not to have a damaging reputation, so that meticulous information shall be provided both within Japan as well as to the overseas. That is the instructions given from the Prime Minister. On other point, there were no particular instructions given. So let me refrain from making further comments. Next question, please. Hokkaido Shimbun, Araya-san. Araya from Hokkaido Shimbun. Regarding the consoling the spirit and offshore, now there will be the consoling of the spirit from the end August to June. So what will be the plan for the Japanese government? And there has not been a positive response given from the Russian side. And in order to overcome the situation, so what activities will be taking place?
So what was just mentioned, memorial services on the sea, Governor of Hokkaido and the representatives of Chishima League or Federation, when they talked, there was a request from them to Prime Minister Kishida for support. I was attending the meeting, and Prime Minister said that we should listen to the relevant parties and provide necessary support from the government. It will be the Cabinet Office who will be taking the lead but in collaboration with the Cabinet Office, MOFA wishes to collaborate closely to make appropriate action. And it is true that there has been no positive reaction for the resumption of paying respect to the cemetery from the Russian side. But for the Japanese government, resumption of visit to cemetery and exchanges with the four islands, of course, is a priority. So we would like to continue to request resumption. This is Kobayashi from Nikkei. About EU's Japan-produced food regulation. EU still has regulation against Japanese food items, and it is to expire in June 2023. What is the status of consultation, and what is the prospect of EU's regulation going forward?
Regarding the input ban of the EU on the Japanese food products from Japan, there has been some review within EU. I do understand that there is a positive move toward the lifting of such a ban. Japanese government welcomes such a move. As a Japanese government, we would like to seize all the possible opportunities from various levels. We've been working to EU as well as the EU member nations to lift such restrictions early, and I've been taking the lead and proactively reaching out to EU as well as the counterpart countries. Upon the lifting of these restrictions, this can be a great support to the reconstructions of the disaster-afflicted area. I hope that that will be materialized. Yosa-san from NHK. Iwasawa, NHK. About the amendment of the anti-espionage law, this will be implemented tomorrow. There has been expansions of the definitions of the Espionage Act, so there may be a more stringent enforcement. What warning will you send to the officials as well as the Japanese living in China? And also, there has been a Japanese male detained in March. What is the current status, such as meeting with him?
The so-called amendment, a planned amendment for espionage law that will be enforced starting from 1st of July. It is a domestic law of another country, so as government, we refrain from making comment to such developments. We are asking the Chinese side to provide details about this, and we're also asking them to ensure transparency in law enforcement and legal process. At the same time, we are giving a caution to the Japanese nationals in China. So given the amendment to the law, we will continue to work to ensure the safety of Japanese nationals, including a provision of careful information and caution. Now, regarding the Japanese national in his 50s who was detained in Beijing by the Chinese authorities in March, on the 14th of June, the Japanese embassy staff arranged for a through consular general visit for the individual. We asked him, and during the interview, it was confirmed that he's not suffering any health-related problems. When I visited China in April, I mounted a protest to the Chinese authorities, and we have strongly requested that he be released at the earliest possible stage, and we have also asserted our position. And so we will continue to strongly request for the early release of the Japanese national to the Chinese authorities. And in order to ensure the safety and protection of the individual, we are providing as much support to the family and the relevant parties. We will continue to act appropriately. IWG Hamamoto. I have a question about Ukraine. So, Mr. Prigozhin of Wagner, he mounted a revolt about a month ago. On the 15th of May, there was a media report saying that it was known to the Russian government. So Prime Minister admitted Medvedev said that if there's a coup d'etat in a nuclear power, that could cause a collapse of the whole world. If that is true, then Western countries knew of the revolt and yet let it go unaddressed. So Minister Hayashi included, was the Japanese government aware of this? If you could please share your views on this.
Mr. Prigozhin, as well as the movement of the Wagner, the Japanese government has been placing a close eye with high level of interest. However, let me refrain from commenting for each matters and cases. But in any case, the Japanese government will maintain the close communications with the like-minded nations. With this, we would like to conclude today's press conference. Thank you.